Hi there, Endersword here again. This time just kind of hanging out in a little OBS game thingy. But mostly I was on to try and talk about sponsorships a little bit. It's obviously a hot topic right now that people are still debating whether or not it's okay to contact sponsors, etc., etc. The side that I kind of wanted to bring up today was the idea that there are two different main types of sponsors that we have in StarCraft 2 right now, and it's important to know how each of them is going to react when they actually get a complaint from fans or anything like that. There's the smaller types like your Razors, your Steel Series, Playhem, Beyond Gaming, Gunners, something like that. They're generally going to know a little bit more about what's actually going on. They may know a team, they may know the players on the teams. They're going to be more in touch with that sort of thing because they're the type of brand that's very dependent on gaming. They're very dependent on this actual industry itself, so having those personal endorsements is a lot more important to them. The second type of company, which is really the one that we want to be concerned about, is going to be your Intel, your Pepsi, your Monster Energy, your Gigabyte, obviously, is the one people are freaking out over right now. These are billion-dollar companies that sell to a very wide group of people. So you've got a Gigabyte that's getting $2.5 billion in revenue a year worldwide, making all kinds of different computing products. But yes, they also want to sell to this small market. However, what these companies are not willing to do is take any sort of risk when it comes to selling to that small market because it starts to leak out of there. They don't want to have the risk of a bad association that's eventually going to be mentioned in one of these Forbes articles or get on CNN or end up on MSNBC or something like that. They just absolutely will not take even a 0.1% chance that the $20,000 they gave to a small tournament or the $30,000 they gave to a team is in any way going to reflect on them badly and hurt the larger part of their sales. Whereas a company that is smaller and much more focused on this as an industry is willing to do that. However, to grow as a scene, then we really need those bigger outside guys, or the outside guys, and so we need them to know that it is actually safe to come into this. So when emails are sent to sponsors, when people are going on their Twitter accounts and saying like, hey, Pepsi, I don't like what you did to Ricky. They don't know who the hell that is, and they don't care, and they're not even going to bother to look it up. They're just going to see, where did this come from? What industry, what money are we giving that you're even fucking talking about? And then we're just going to yank that away from it. The big guys aren't going to go sit down with a team or something and say, oh, I think you need to talk to this one guy and make him stop doing that. They don't care about that sort of thing. It's not the scale of money that they're going to be talking about, and they don't want to end up in a position where someone has a microphone in an ad executive's face saying, why do you sponsor this racist guy or sexist guy or this guy that beat up a puppy or something? It just doesn't matter to them, and they're going to absolutely avoid it at all costs. So they may place one courtesy phone call saying like, hey, get rid of that person or stop doing this. And if it's not done immediately, then they just absolutely will end their relationship, and they may not even make that call. That call may be, hey, we're not with you anymore. We're not sponsoring that anymore. When this contract is up, we're done. Or you triggered some morality clause and we're done immediately. So I think people need to know the type of impact that they can actually be having when we're contacting big companies that are many magnitudes larger than what we are. We're not causing them to consider these individuals or this team or adjust their behavior. It's going to be just a bludgeon. They're not going to use a scalpel to carve out the part of the risk that they don't like. They just get rid of the entire thing. Now, this argument does a little bit work on the flip side, is if you're the type of person that maybe is doing some of these things, You have to understand that even if you've got really cute logic and rational reasons and everyone else is a goddamn idiot for not realizing that what I'm saying is correct, you've got to realize that they're not even listening to you. They don't care about that. They're just going to go with the emotional reaction of a public, whether it's real or imagined, and that's the way that they're going to base their decisions. And it's not just this sponsorship, it's the way that it is in life. That nobody likes to stick their neck out for that sort of thing when they've got a larger thing at risk. Nobody's going to stand up for you to try and save you when they don't care about that and when they've got larger things on the line. So you can't go up to every person and rationally argue to them that you're right and like 90% of the rest of the people in the world are wrong because you thought of this clever thing that nobody else fucking ever thought of in their life. That's the type of thing that someone does in junior high. That's the type of, they realize that, oh, everyone else is silly and they're doing stuff because it's tradition. Yeah, probably, but it doesn't fucking matter. It just doesn't matter at all that that's the way that they're acting and it's wrong if that's the way it works. You have to play that game as well. If you don't want to play it at all, then do it without them. You don't have to opt into that. But it does limit the opportunities that you have. So on both sides of this, community, don't be antagonizing this type of thing because it's not going to have an impact on the one guy that you want it to hurt or get fired or whatever. And I don't care if you meant it or not. I don't care whether you were actually offended or not. I don't think you are. I think that you just are going after individual people because you don't like them. And that's about it. But it doesn't matter whether that's true or not. The thing is that you're going to end up hurting a much larger thing by going after that one person if you're talking to these large companies that will simply yank everything away from it. You're not going to affect the change you want. It's going to be much worse. And the people actually doing things, some of them are accidents, some of them are unintentional, some of them are whatever. But if it is something that you're kind of willfully doing, then obviously you don't want to be doing that, or you have to accept the consequences for what you're doing. It's fine to stand up for something if you accept the consequences for it, but if you're just not willing to do that, if you don't want there to actually be kickback, and there shouldn't be because everyone else is just stupid, well, you're living in the dream world, and you can't do that. You have to accept that most people are stupid. And if that's the problem you have, if what you're doing relies on other people being smart, that is not a good plan. Think of how stupid the average person is, and then remember that 50% of people are stupider than that. And if your thing is based on that, it's just not going to work. So overall, don't contact these people, and people doing stuff that is getting people upset in the first place, try not to do it. If you're doing it willfully, then please just don't. Both of you are hurting things. Thanks for listening. That was just a random rant.